What's going on, guys? In this video we're going to be taking a look at system 357 from Namco. This is an arcade system and I'm going to show you guys some tips and tricks that'll make your life easier. So first of all, this system has 3 gun games, and as usual, if you want to play the gun games with an actual gun, you want to go over here to the gun games wheel, aim, track, and send in, and start the games from there. The reason I have them here is because you're going to be able to play these with either an Xbox controller or with your mouse or trackball. So with that said, the Xbox controller should be plug and play, but in case it is not for you, I'm going to show you a very easy thing that you have to do to get that working. So that's what we're going to start off with here. So we're going to go over to the toolkit and we're going to select exit to Windows. Okay, so once you're in Windows, if a window pops open for you, that's fine, but if it doesn't, just go to this PC. You want to go over here to the utilities folder and you want to go to Demio Shooter Controller. Now make sure your controller is turned on, and then you want to go ahead and open up Demio Shooter GUI. So double click that. And what you want to do is basically select player 1 up here, which should already be selected. And from this drop down list, you're going to select your controller. Now you don't really need to know what all this is. All you have to do is basically trial and error. And it's normally going to be one of the ones towards the top here. So for example, if I select this first one on the list, then I go ahead and pick up my controller and I move the left joystick around. I'm not getting any response from this window right here. So I'm going to go ahead and try the next one. Now if I move the joystick, I'm getting a response. So that means that's the correct one. I can go ahead and click on Save Config and click OK. My player 1 is set up and ready to go. So now I'm going to go to this drop down and select P2. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go here and I'm going to select the first one again. And I'm going to move the joystick on my second player. And that happens to be the correct one. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save and click OK, and that's it. I'm done. Now if you go back into Hyperspin and you start those games, they should be working with your Xbox controllers. Alright, so with that out of the way, I'm just gonna go ahead and close out of this program here, Demio Shooter, and I'm just gonna go ahead and show you guys how to set this up to use either a mouse or a trackball to play the gun games. So for that, you want to go over here to Games and you want to go down to System 357 and go ahead and go into this Dark Escape folder. That's one of the gun games. And this cache folder here, you want to rename it to .gun. And the reason you're renaming that is because if you guys want to go back and then use guns, or you want to go back and use a controller, you're going to need to restore this backup or your controller is not going to work. So after you do that, you want to go ahead and start the game by using this launcher right here, Start Dark Escape. The game is going to start up and it's going to build a new cache folder. So because of that, it's going to take a while to actually go through all of that. You're going to see like a loading bar. You have to wait for that all to finish and for the game to get to the title screen. And then you can simply press Alt F4 to quit the game. If you have a Logitech keyboard, remember to hold down Fn, then hold down Alt and then press F4 for it to kick you out. And you have to do that same process for every game. And there's only 2 more, right? So Dead Storm Pirates, you rename the cache to that gun, that old, whatever you want. Start the game from Start Dead Storm Pirates, let it load all up to the title screen, and then quit out of it. And then finally do the same thing for Sailor Zombie. And after that, you're good to go with the cache. Now, Sailor Zombie and Dead Storm Pirates don't seem to require calibration when you're using a mouse or trackball, but Dark Escape 4 does seem to require calibration, so I'm going to show you guys how to do that now. So let's go back into Dark Escape, move this over. Now, I don't want to wait for the game to build the cache up right now from scratch, so I have a backed up cache that I'm just going to go ahead and drag over there. You're obviously not going to have this. You're going to have to start the game and let it build the cache. For me, I have a backed up one here that I'm going to drag over. And now that I have it there, I'm going to go ahead and start the game. And I'm going to show you guys how to get into the calibration. So start the game by this shortcut here, or this launcher. Okay, once you're at this point here, you can press the 0 key on your keyboard, 0, to go into the test menu, just like this. You're going to use your up and down arrow keys to navigate. I'm going to go to IO test and press enter. And I'm going to go to gun test and press enter again. And right here, it's telling you on the left there, service switch is to initialize the gun. Service switch is number 5. So you're gonna press number 5, and then it's gonna tell you what to do. Right there saying shoot the left end. For that, you're gonna go all the way to the bottom left. Just make believe you can see a cursor or crosshairs, even though you can't, and just move your mouse to the lower left until you see those values stop moving, and then go ahead and press the left click on your mouse or the left click button on your control panel. All right, now it's telling you shoot the right end. So I'm gonna move all the way to the bottom right corner until the digits stop moving. Again, left click. Then it says shoot the top end. I'm gonna go to the top left corner. Again, when the digits stop moving, press left click. And now it says shoot the bottom end. I'm gonna go back to the lower left again and shoot with the left click. Boom. I get my crosshairs back and I can move fully all around the screen. So everything's good. I'm gonna press enter, enter again. And I'm just gonna go ahead and press, I think you go to exit. Yes, go to exit, press enter on that, and then press 0, and that kicks you out of the test mode. At this point, you can pretty much quit by also holding down Alt F4. Again, FN if you have that key. So FN, Alt F4 kicks you out. Like I said, the other games don't need that process, but if you find that you need to calibrate, it's the exact same thing on those other games. Start them up and go through that same exact process. The menu might look a little bit different, but the idea is the same. Now remember that if you guys ever want to go back to playing with a controller or a gun, you're gonna want to come back here, delete that new cache folder, or you can even back it up since you already created it, and you can call it something like .mouse, for example, and then rename this one that you renamed at the beginning to just cache. And now you can go back to using a controller or a gun. Okay guys, and the last thing I'm going to show you is just an example here of this game. I just want to explain the controls real quick because it's the only one here that's not kind of self-explanatory. So this is a rhythm game, so let's start it up. So if you open up this diagram here, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. You open up this diagram here. This game is configured to use the A, B, and D, E buttons. So if you have an arcade controller, those are the 4 buttons you're going to be using right here. So I'm going to go over here and insert credit. And I'm going to press player 1 start. Press player start again to make that selection there. Alright, so when you get to the screen, I suggest that you guys select this option here without even moving the joystick or anything, because that's going to be a tutorial that is going to show you how to play. But real quick, I'm just going to find one here that I can go into so I can show you guys what the buttons do. Alright, so I had to scroll quite a bit. I don't fully understand how that selection there works, but you know, eventually I found one that I can go into. So here we are. So basically, like I was saying, you have these 2 top buttons here and these 2 bottom buttons here that you're going to be using. So for example, right now I'm pressing the A button, and that is the left inside of the drum. The B button is the right inside of the drum. And then D is the rim to the left, and then E is the rim to the right. So again, just watch the tutorial so you actually know how to play, but it's a rhythm game, kind of self-explanatory at this point. You'll start to get the idea. But if you're using a controller, it's basically the same thing. Just turn my controller on there. So these 2 buttons are going to be, let's see what I mapped those to. Okay, so those are the rim. You can see here, I'm pressing this one, that's the left rim, this one's the right rim, and then this is the left inside of the drum and the right inside of the drum. And then the top buttons do the same thing, so it's up to you whether you want to use these or these. Alright guys, that's all I wanted to show you with this game here, so let's go ahead and quit out. Alright, and then the last thing I want to talk about is some of the controls, starting with inserting credit and pressing start. Some of these games like it when you hold the button down for like a split second. So instead of like pressing down your coin button continuously or just tapping it, go ahead and just press it, keep your finger there for like a split second, or else it won't take. Same thing for the start. And that happens, I know on Dragon Ball Z that happens, for example. And then the other thing is for any gun games, you can use the A or B button here for the trigger. And then for Dead Storm Pirates, when it asks you to turn the wheel left or right, you're going to use the player 1 joystick left or right. You can also use your left click button on your control panel or right click for the trigger, but I figured it'd be easier to have them here. So you can use either or, it's up to you. Alright guys, that is going to be it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one.